And we're getting ready to pump some truth that they have never heard before. And if they have heard it, they haven't heard it like this. This is some truth that's getting, I mean, it's solid. Stomp down, stand on, run on, have a good time on. You ain't gonna sink down in this truth. And also make sure you make your comments. Let me know that you're there. If this is your first time, type in first time. If you're new, type in new. And we've got that follow button really going in here the last couple of weeks. So if you see that little blue bar right there that talks about the follow, hit that follow button if you haven't hit it. So that makes sure you get our notifications, and it lets us know that you're there, and you're already automatically be alerted when we're on the air. And make sure you hit that like button and smash crash. Don't just dash, to smash and crash the subscription button right there if you're watching by YouTube. If you're watching on myalc.org, yes, let us know. And also you can hit us up on Instagram, Ed Montgomery 1, and all those different. See, we got all the social media out of the way, so you know how to reach us and stay in contact with us. Last week we talked about what is Christianity? What does it mean? What is it about? And now we're into something a little bit different. We're going to talk about the reason for the season. I know that sounds like Christmas, doesn't it? The reason for the season. We're already approaching this. Right now we're approaching voting season. So I know everybody's gearing up to vote. But there's a reason for this season. There's a reason for for the message of Christianity right now. Now, one of the reasons I bring this up is because when people ask me, "Are you a Christian?" I used to say, "Oh yeah, man, yeah, I'm a Christian," because we think that I am what other people are, or I think like other people think. But in this day and age, I tell them when they ask me, "Are you a Christian?" I tell them I am a follower of Jesus Christ and his teachings. Now that makes plenty of sense, doesn't it? Yep. Real simple. Somebody says, "Are you a Christian?" I am a follower of Jesus Christ and his teachings. And it puts you in square smack dab in that category, but at the same time, it does not play into other people's concepts of Christianity. You say, "But I thought there was only just one definition." Listen, you better look at this. You better think about how this thing works, and you'll catch it. You're gonna like this, so make sure you hit that like button too while you're there. Hit it, bam, hit that like button. Cling. That way you like what we're talking about. Matthew chapter 28 teaches, it makes a statement. It teaches us, it says, when we talk about the gospel, and Jesus gave what was called this great commission. In other words, here is what I want you to do. It's always good when the head of the thing tells you, here's what I want you to do. So you always go to him. And Jesus makes the statement. He says, make disciples of all men. He says, make disciples of all nations. You mean make converts? Make disciples of all nations. You mean get people saved? That's what we do. We got to go out and get people saved. We got to leave United States and go get people saved in France, and get them saved in England, and get them saved in Russia, and take the gospel. Make disciples of all nations. Read it for yourself. Jesus never told us to go out and get everybody saved. Now, you're in a master key class with me. This is different from Sunday morning. If you're just here for, I just stopped by because I need a little gas in my spiritual tank. This might not be the moment here, because I'm getting ready to tell you something. Jesus told us to make disciples. Disciples, the definition of a disciple is a learner under discipline. And if we're to make disciples of all nations, it means that we also must recognize the various cultures of people. Notice I didn't say races, because race is not acknowledging somebody's culture. Race is something that we make up. This is what's going on in America. This is why we are fighting so hard against what we call systemic racism. Because racism is about power. Racism is about one group of people ruling over another group of people. And systemic racism is this racism, or this power of some people ruling over some people, is so deep that the people who are seeking the power over others don't even think about it anymore. They put it in the system. And it's so flowing through the system that you just run into it here and there. Now, people who are not people of color don't see it. It's like someone white, someone black riding in a car. The police comes in the back with the lights on. The person black is saying, "Oh my God, what's going to happen?" As a matter of fact, they might even be worried because they got somebody white sitting in the car. The other person on the other end says, "What you worried about, man? It's just the police, man. You know. Hey, they'll just harass you, try to give you a ticket or whatever." And then the policeman comes around to the window, and you being black, put your hands immediately on the steering wheel. The other person who may be white sitting next to you doesn't do anything. They just keep their hands down. Hey man, put your hands, if it's a girl, put your hands on this, you put your hands up. For what? Officer comes to the door, you roll the window down. Now, I had this happen. That's why I know so much about it. It happened to me. And my friend turns around and, "Officer, what's the problem? Is something wrong? There's nothing wrong. Are you just harassing?" And I'm saying, "Oh my God, will you be quiet?" Because we live in a different world. Systemic racism makes you live in a different frame of mind. Some of you have experienced it with your friends. So when you realize that, it's all right to acknowledge nations, but you have to acknowledge culture. So Jesus is telling us to disciple cultures. Take the gospel to disciple people. Now, that doesn't mean to get them saved and to have an American crusade. To get people to walk down the aisle and just say, "Jesus Christ, come into my life," and then leave them. Discipleship is about teaching, man. It's about teaching. It's about teaching people how to live. Every day it's about me learning how to walk every day in this gospel, in this good news. It's about learning how even in the world we live in, how do we live in it with this power of Christ inside of us? Christianity is not about getting saved and going to heaven. It is about heaven coming down inside of me. The gospel is the word that you speak that teaches people how to be disciples, how to be someone who learns every day new things about their spiritual life. Let me tell you something. Do you know how powerful you are? Maybe I should say how powerful you have the potential to be. When you read the gospel, when you read the life of Jesus, You're not just looking at Jesus. Oh, that's Jesus' life. Well, Jesus was God. Jesus, he got God in him, and he was able to walk the water. He was able to heal the sick. He was able to do all these things. That's Jesus. And after we leave the life of Jesus, then we go to Acts and other parts of the Bible. And we read the other ideologies and philosophies of the Apostle Paul, and we read all those different things. But it never dawns on us that we literally can do what Jesus did in his life. What? Oh, we can walk water. I'm sure somewhere down the line we can. If we can't walk on it, we know we can float on it. That's why they got boats. Oh, we can heal the sick. Hey, people are looking for a vaccine right now. It's how you look at it. It's how you see it. Suppose a researcher gets a brilliant idea, and the idea that he gets comes from years and years of study and years of trying things, trial and error, doing things good, but then making mistakes. And all of a sudden, he puts all this search and search again, research together, until all of a sudden, all of the odds, he pushes all of the things away and finds that one thing and comes up with a vaccine and then pushes COVID back. You think that's not healing? Man, that's big time. That's major healing. See, it's how we look at it, how we are discipled to look. We're taught that healing has to be one way, that if you put your hand there, and after you lay your hands and if you feel it and the electricity go through your body, then all of a sudden you got healed. But if you can take a vaccine that can keep a disease away. As kids, we took vaccine that keeps measles away, vaccines that keep smallpox away. This is what we understand about the gospel, about the good news. This is what we understand what Christianity is. Christianity means little Christs. It means learning how to do what Jesus did. It means learning how to discipline our lives. Not merely to act like Jesus, but to learn what Jesus does and learn what Jesus did. See, one of the reasons they had a problem, especially, you notice we've been going through a lot of history and dealing with a lot of history in our teaching. And how the gospel, of course, was brought over. It came as the Catholic Church, and then finally went up in England. They didn't like what the Catholics did, and the Germans didn't like what Catholics did. So the Germans got mad at the Catholics and said, we don't want your Catholicism, back around the 1500s. So they protested, and they became protesters or Protestants. You've heard the word. And Protestants finally went over into England. England didn't like what the Catholics said, because the Catholics wouldn't let them get married the way they wanted to get married. So they became the Anglican Church. They was able to wear all the same little robes, but they didn't want the Pope telling them what to do. Well, out of there came the Puritans. The Puritans got on the Mayflower. When they got on the Mayflower, they came over to America. They picked up something called Calvinism while they were back there in Germany and back there in Europe, and they brought it over to America, which believes that God is, we don't know who's going to be saved or who's not going to be saved. So you got to try to live as saved as you can. And by the time you get to the end of your life, hopefully you will be saved. Oh my, that's just messing up your brain. They brought this over and introduced this to Christians who had come out of Africa, who already knew who Christ was when they got here. Finally, they showed a picture of Jesus. He had blonde hair, blue eyes. Remember we showed you that? And the Africans couldn't understand it, because they said it couldn't be Jesus, because Jesus comes from the Middle East. Jesus comes from at the tip of Africa, right up above Africa. He couldn't be that color. He couldn't look like that, because he's not a typical man. So what do we learn about being like Christ? The Africans couldn't believe they could be like Christ. They couldn't be like Jesus, because Jesus was blonde hair, blue eyes. And when you see that, you only can serve him, but you cannot be like him. You can only do for him, but you can't receive what he wants, what he has, what he does, or what he has. You can only help Jesus, but you cannot be what Jesus wants you to be, because you can't be like him. You need to be like Jesus. How can you be like him? if he looks like someone else. The only way you can do that is when you get to heaven, and they even began to teach the fact that when you get to heaven, Jesus will change your color. Now, wait just a minute. Yes. Here is what we have understood from the gospel, and here is what we have learned now. We don't even need to make Jesus a Middle Eastern man. We don't even need to make pictures of Jesus what we think Jesus could have looked like. First of all, it's not about what Jesus looked like. Some say, you don't want pictures of Jesus on the wall. No. For what? Why would I want pictures of Jesus on the wall? There are no pictures of Jesus. Nobody took a photograph of Jesus. All the pictures, because see, that's what causes the problem. When you try to live up to a picture and you say, I want to be like, when we say like Jesus, we're talking about the spirit of Jesus. To be disciplined means to be like him. You don't have to be a certain race or color to walk the water. I believe that we're raising a generation. We talk about take the gospel into the whole world. The good news is that we can do what Jesus does. The good news is that the kingdom of God has come to all men, all women, all nations, all races, all backgrounds, all cultures, all colors. And you know what? The gospel is like fluid. It will flow into the cookie cutout of our nations and of our cultures and of our lives. And when I get up in the morning, I'll tell you, if there is one thing that I do when I get up in the morning, I always take a moment and I meditate. I take my hands and I put them right there on my knees. If I can't, sometimes I'll fold them like this and put the little energy. I call it my energy points. I make this up, you know. But I like the knees because it leaves your hands open. I believe that the open hands is reception. I believe that the power of God, when you keep your hands open, is reception. This is the position of a giver. A giver keeps their hands open, not closed. When your hands are closed, you don't give out anything. You hold things back. But guess what? Nothing ever comes in. But when you open up, giving flows, prosperity flows, abundance flows back and forth. You know, I believe being saved means something else to me. Now, it doesn't mean just I've accepted Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. You know, my brothers and sisters, it's not all about my personal feelings. I think sometimes this is where America just really screws up. When we're all about my personal money, my personal wealth, my personal space, and my personal Jesus. We have to begin once again to realize what the gospel is. It's about learning about Jesus every day, every moment of our day, and applying it to what we do every day. Look, right now, as we're looking forward to elections, I'm encouraging people to vote. I don't care what you got to do. Get in your car. If you got to go vote where you got to go, get on the bus, get on the bus. If you got to jump in the car with somebody and get in the car with somebody, if you got to get on a skateboard, whatever you got to do, you got to vote. If we got to stand in line, listen, on this one, we got to stand in line, however long we got to stand in line, because we can't let this opportunity pass us by. Get home, get quiet when you get home and say, I voted. Number two, you know the number two about how to keep your health. You know what they're going to say. You know those three things, right? What are they? Wear your mask, social distance, Wear your mask, wash your hand, social distance. Here it is. Wear your mask, wash your hands, social distance. Yes. That mask has been so politicized that it's even politicized in church. They're even making it something, well, when you come to church, it's optional. How can it be optional? I'm in church. When you say hallelujah, when you say, oh, the droplets are coming out. I would rather you wear a mask. So if you go to a tongue-talking church or just a church, it stays in the mask. As a matter of fact, it can't be optional. And I'm going to tell you why some are saying it's optional. Because there's two philosophies about it. There's some that believe in what is called, and there are Christians. There are some Christians who believe in this. Shouldn't be Christians who are people of color though, but some Christians who believe in what is called it's the herd mentality. Herd. What that means is if so many people need to catch this, and then once we catch it, herd immunity. That's what it's called. Once we catch it, then we won't catch it again. Yeah, but that's like the measles. You get the measles, you don't catch the measles again. Get the chicken pox. It's been years. People, I had the chicken pox. Smallpox, I had, I didn't have smallpox, but I got vaccinated from. That's gone. COVID-19 is. Do you have a cure for the common cold? No. They give you a flu shot every year. Why? Not for the flu that's coming up, but for the flu that was previous. Because they know that's what that is. COVID-19 is in that cold flu kind of thing. We've only been in there since, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. We're approaching 8 months now, or in the 8th month of us really, really knowing about it. There are people who have caught it, people who have died. What is it, over 220, or if not close to, or maybe over by the time this, I'm telling this now, it's probably about 218,000, 220,000 who have dealt with this thing, who've lost their lives on this. Someone says, well, I've caught it and, I'm cured from. There is no cure. Do you have a cure for the common cold? No. Do you have a cure for the flu? No. You have treatments, no cure. I'll say it again. Treatment, no cure. Are you immune from it? You may be immune for a few months. We don't know yet. It may be something you can pick up later. It may be something that may not be as bad later, but it's there. See, you said, well, why are you bringing this up? Because some of this is coming out of churches. You got people going in church, ripping off their mask, coming to church without a mask, saying, if we get herd immunity. Well, you know what herd immunity means? It can mean between 2 and 2.5 million deaths in America. And some people are saying, well, as long as not me. You got some selfish people like that. People of color are more apt to deal with this thing. Why? Because of food deserts in black communities. Because how people of color have been treated in the past. How healthcare, wages, all of this. When you don't have the money, you don't have the healthcare. When you don't have the healthcare, when you don't visit the doctor, when you don't visit your healthcare officials over a period of time, guess what? Your quality of life goes down. This is why we need our faith. This is what our faith does for us. It can't fix everything because maybe one day it will. We believe that what you believe you receive. We believe that by faith you can deal with stress that causes inflammation. We believe these things, but it's not quite fast enough. These are things that we have to work on and work with. Look, That's why it's so important that we keep a telecast like this on the air. What I mean by on the air, on social media. Week after week, we have to keep coming to you. So many people are doing it. We have to keep saying it, because the more you say it, the more it gets into our psyche and we understand this is what our lives are right now. We've got to wear our masks. We've got to social distance. We've got to wash our hands. Some things we're not going to be able to do right now. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you can be a witness of one, a powerhouse of one. Join with me and help me to take this message of liberation, liberation from sickness, liberation from poverty, liberation from racism, liberation from thinking racist, liberation from thinking that I got to be twice as good. Liberation from it. This is what you can do. This is how you and I can join together. Take a moment. Go to myalc.org. myalc.org. That's our website. And that donate button, you'll see it right there on that front page. Click it. And when you click it, it will take you to a page. If you've already done it, you know how to work it. If it's your first time, we'll know it, and I'll know it's your first time. It don't take just a few moments to set it up, and once you set up, it's done. You're there. You're on the roll. You're on the record. You've joined with me. You've connected with our gathering. I already know that you're there. I immediately know that you're there, and I write you back immediately, let you know that I know that you're there. I love to connect with people who join us for the first time and help us to go through and to keep what we're doing on. And you can also do it on your phone. If you're somewhere you're watching this by phone, just use your phone. You can do it through text. Here's what you do. Send a text to the number 713-742-2035. That's 713-742-2035. And in that message box, you can just type in $5, $7, $20. When you type that in, listen, that will get you in. You may have to set that up if this is your first time, but listen, after that, you've been already given by the time I finish talking. Thank you for what you do. Thank you so much for, and ALC, I know my class reaches everybody and it reaches so many different people on so many different platforms. Thank you so much, ALC, for what you do and keeping my back, watching my back and praying for me so that I can keep getting stronger week after week after week. Because I know we got to be strong for people as these days grow shorter, as elections come, as vaccines approach. We got to be strong for people. We got to be strong for our scene. We got to be strong for each other. So thank you for what you are doing. And make sure if this is your first time or if you haven't before, even if you've been watching this for a while, hit that follow me button. Bing! Click it right there on your Facebook if you're on Facebook. Because what it does, it makes sure that next time we come on, I'll be hollering at you. Hey, turn us on. We're here. Follow me. I want to see how many people are going to follow me this weekend. So hit it right now. See, all it takes is a click. Just, there you go. Wherever you are in the world, hit it. Okay? All right. Thank you so much for joining us for our Master Key class. And remember, we do all this work so that you can live your life to your fullest extent. Enjoy yourself. Look, got to go. Hope you got something out of that, all right? Okay. See you Sunday. Sensational Sundays, 10:30 a.m. Got something good. Good.